It's about knowing where to look. It's about knowing where to go to get the answers. And then it's about coming up and doing the actions yourself.
Yet attitude means, how can I proactively change the way I think? How can I proactively increase my life? How can I proactively create better relationships and better work situations for me to enjoy it?
And welcome to the GAP, the Get Attitude Podcast, The Gap. Bridging the gap from who you are to who you want to become and from where you are to where you want to go. My name is Glenn Bill, founder of the University of Attitude, Keynote speaker, and author of the #1 international best-selling book, The ABCs of Attitude. And I have been fortunate enough to have you as my audience and to have helped tens of thousands of people get attitude. Attitude is the secret formula to success in your business and in your life. And this podcast, it is going to help you get yours. So, as we always do, let's get some. I want to welcome everybody. Please remember to subscribe, to rate, and review as we begin Attitude Booster number 5 and month number 5, which is have a mentor and copy him or her. You know, people talk about mentorship all the time. Do you have a mentor? Have you ever thought about having a mentor? You know, sometimes people have a mentor and they don't even know they have a mentor. I think about the quote that about vision, and it's like, you know what? If you don't have your own vision, you're probably living someone else's. I want you to sit there and think about it. Are you living in your vision or are you living in your circumstance? People that live in their circumstance, people that live without visions are usually living a life and running in their life because of somebody else's vision when it's all said and done. And sometimes we really need to check ourselves about who our mentors are and who the influences in our lives are. The great Jim Rohn always discussed the 3 questions that you should always ask yourself. Question number 1, who am I hanging around? Question number 2, what are they doing to me? Where do they have me reading? Where do they have me listening to? Where do they have me writing? Where do they have me engaging in? Where do they have me watching? And number 3, is that okay? And when we talk about mentors, we have positive and negative mentors. And I think there's 3 things that we really need to uncover when it's about who are we hanging around, right? There's 3 measures that you need to, once you identify who am I spending the most time with, number 1, do I need to limit that association? Maybe you're hanging around them daily, but maybe it's more healthy for you if you just hang around them once a week or once every other week or maybe once a year. There's other people in your life that in order for you to keep your positive attitude, in order for you to become the person that you want to become, that, you know what, you might need to disassociate yourself with them. There are people in your life that are pulling you down, that are weighing you down, that are not the best mentors. And sometimes, as painful as it may be, you need to rip those people from your life. Maybe you can re-engage them with a different relationship. But is there someone in your life that, in fact, you need to say, I need to disassociate? And then the next level of association is called increased association. And when we talk about having a mentor and copying them, that's really where we want to go with the gap. You know, are there people in your life that are crushing it? As you look, they're killing it financially, they're killing it socially, they're killing it spiritually, they're killing it physically, they're killing it with their finances. Like, those are the people we want to try to increase association with. Now, we don't want to stalk them, and we don't want to burden them with their mentorship. A lot of people don't understand mentorship isn't about having the mentor do more work, listen to your drivel about how bad things are. Mentors are simply best engaged with tell me how you do what you do, and then by modeling it, right? Have a mentor copy them. I want to have a mentor and copy them to 2 of my mentors, who would be my father, Joseph George Bill, and my mother, Grace Marilyn Bill, both coaches, both teachers, both salesmen, and two wonderful parents. And I hope that in your life, if you were fortunate enough to have great parents, that you let them know how much you appreciate them and thank them. That will help your attitude. And if you didn't, that you certainly forgive your two attitude coaches called your mother and father, because there's this thing that I know called effective blaming. And you would not become the person you have become without those two attitude coaches. And when we look at the study of attitude, the study of meaning, the study of emotion, we all know that those two attitude coaches that you first get, your mother and your father, are the ones that shape it and create the meaning in your life. What the Get Attitude podcast does, what the University of Attitude does, is it helps you from the hardwiring that you received from those two attitude coaches. It helps you rip that apart and stop it. And then instead of creating a life that is hardwired from two other folks, to create a life, to create meaning, to create attitude, to create a new way of thinking and feeling that best fits your life, and to create your own destiny. So that's what we're going to be focusing on when we talk about Attitude Booster number 5, have a mentor and copy them. We have some unbelievable guests that had mentors in their life and that have mentors and negotiated mentors in order to improve their life. The first person that we will be interviewing is a young gal who wrote a book about a gentleman named George Taliaferro, who was one of the first black football players at Indiana University. And the story and the struggles that George had gone through. I believe he might have been one of the first African-American NFL football players to be drafted. And back in those days, there was certainly challenges. There were certainly ways to look at things. There were certainly mentors that he had. But the cool thing about it was Dawn engaged with him when she was at Indiana University, and she talks about the story about how George ended up becoming a mentor for her. So when we talk about interracial relations, when we talk about racism, when we talk about football, Dawn's interview is fantastic. Our next interview is with one of my personal mentors, Clint Arthur. Clint is the founder of Celebrity Launchpad, and he has helped very successful business people understand how to leverage celebrity and how to create celebrity in order for them to explode their business. Clint, again, I've spent a lot of time with Clint. I've spent a lot of money with Clint. And his message, if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, is something that you are going to want to take hold of. The next Have a Mentor Copy Them is a former professional football player, Mr. Joe Wrights. Joe played tackle on the Indianapolis Colts team. I believe he was one of the right tackles for Peyton Manning as well as Andrew Luck. Joe, very interesting, was a collegiate basketball player. Never played football in high school, nor did he in college. But he ended up playing for the Indianapolis Colts, the Baltimore Ravens, and I believe several other NFL programs. And Joe's message in Joe's podcast about mentorship and copying him or her took a really cool turn in our interview, especially when he really honored his sisters, his wife, and his mother. So we got this big, strong, strapping football player, and he talks about how the women in his life actually served him so well and helped him become the person that he hoped to be. And our last one is the guy that started Lightspeed VT, which is a virtual training system that has been breaking borders on how corporate training's done and how online training is happening. His name is Brad Lee, and Brad is a ton of fun, a ton of energy, And he talks about his childhood and the mentors he had from really starting out with a pretty tough life to becoming the person he is. He's got an unreal business. He is a serial entrepreneur. He is an extreme go-getter. And that is somebody that I think, boy, it's a fast-paced, hard-hitting, fantastic interview. And Bradley from Lightspeed VT is a interview that you are not going to want to miss. So we are teed up with 4 fantastic interviews for this month when we talk about Attitude Booster number 5, have a mentor, copy him or her. I just wanted to hit you with a couple different quotes from some of the influencers in personal development industry to have you think about, am I a mentor to others? Are the mentors that I have on purpose or not on purpose? Are the influences in my life positive or negative? I have a mentor, Dr. Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul books. I've done several courses with him. And Jack said, you have to believe it is possible, and you have to believe in yourself, which obviously is Attitude Booster number 3, which we covered. Because if you've decided what you want, and if you believe that it is possible, and it's possible for you, not just for other people, then you need to seek out models, mentors, and coaches. So when we talk about, first of all, getting a mentor, right? You first of all have to believe and you have to crystallize, what is it that I want? So many people aren't specific about what they want. They don't see it. They don't believe it's possible. They don't believe it's possible for them. And they go and seek out mentors and they're vague. They're not clear. You really need to be crystal clear about your vision and who you are and who you want to be before you actually select that mentor and engage them to help you get going. The question is how clear are you about your future? The question is how much do you really believe, right? Believe in you, number 3, that what you want is possible for you. The next quote is from Kilroy Oldster, and I really think this is great, and it talks about conflict between an apprentice and his master is not always bad. In fact, it is almost inevitable if the apprentice's destiny is to exceed the accomplishments of the master. As a football coach, we always used to have a saying, there is no growth without conflict. And there are no lessons found with everybody just simply agreeing. And so you can't be afraid to engage and to challenge your mentor. But as I was providing a keynote speech for Ascension Health the other day in Bankers Life Fieldhouse, it was a leadership lesson. And people always ask me, how do you know if you're a good leader? And I believe that the way you know you're a good leader is simply this. The people that you have led come back into your life and they're able to lead you. They are able to teach you possibly more than you taught them. When you think about being a mentor, when you think about being a leader, I mean, that's really, if you're a leader, you need to be in this mentorship thing. If you know leaders, we ask that you please subscribe, rate, and review on any podcast format. But if you know a leader, I hope you share this podcast with them, because we're going to have great leadership lessons that happen from all 4 of these guests on our Get Attitude podcast. Focusing on Attitude Booster number 5, which is have a mentor and copy them. The next one that I really, really like is from Alexandra Tenfor. And it says, the best teachers are those who tell you where to look, but do not tell you what to see. Again, this mentorship really gets into leadership when it's all said and done. And as a mentor, if you are a mentor or if you're being mentored, it's about knowing where to look. It's about knowing where to go to get the answers. And then it's about coming up and doing the actions yourself in order to propel yourself in your life, in your business, or whatever endeavor that you want. So ask yourself, do I just want to sit there and look for something and be told what it looks like? Or do I just want to know and find new resources that can help me decide for myself what I wish to become? The next one is from Samuel Smiles. And it said, and it talks about the great leader, Alexander the Great, valued learning so highly that he used to say he was more indebted to Aristotle for giving him knowledge than to his father, Philip, for giving him life. Now, we all have a heavenly father. We all have an earthly father. And when it comes down to who will really influence you more, right, that is a big question. I just did a leadership speech, as I mentioned, that talked about the best leader that I know, Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ said this. He led with 2 words. Brevity in mentorship is great. Brevity in being a mentoree is great. You know what? Brevity in life is great. How do you use brevity? Or are you talking too much, right? Does it take you too long to communicate your words? As a leader, I think it's important that we use brevity. Jesus Christ said this simply, follow me. Look what he set off with just those 2 words. Now, the quote that I just read about Alexander the Great, he talked about how his mentor did more than his father for him, for his success. We talked about moms and dads being our attitude coaches. So here's the deal. Some of us are locked in that, mom and dad are always right. I'm going to live in mom and dad's vision forever, no matter how long it is. A lot of us are saying we're living our lives because that's the way mom or dad did it. And I'm here to tell you that there are, although your parents I know are great and that you love them and that they're loyal, but you know what? They are somewhat jaded in their appreciation and possibly in their analyzation of your potential, and that there are people outside of your bloodline that you need to study and you need to become a mentoree with. Lastly, I think this is a really, really good one from Samuel Taylor. And it says, advice is like snow. The softer it falls, the longer it dwells upon, and the deeper it sinks into the mind. And so when we talk about mentoring and we talk about giving advice and receiving advice, sometimes we don't need to ram it or force it into our mentoree. Sometimes delivery is important. Some of the best mentors I've seen, some of the best leaders I've seen, don't have to scream, shout, and force it upon their mentoree. They're people that have wisdom. They're people that talk softly. I think of the great Tony Dungy. Everybody has different forms of leadership. The question is how are you leading people? Are you a hard driving leader, or are you a soft, compassionate, well-spoken leader? I love that quote because you know what? Leadership comes in all forms. And most people think of leaders as people that stand up. They're grandiose. But sometimes the best messages that we receive, sometimes the best mentoring that we receive is from when somebody tells you something and they don't even know that they're mentoring you. Some of the most profound things in my life I've just overheard in passing from other people, which means this. No matter if you're being asked to be a mentor, no matter if you're being asked to lead someone, you're mentoring and leading anybody that you come in contact with. You know, the ABCs of attitude, our goal is to help you become a more attractive and contagious person. The reality is simply this. You're a mentor for everybody you meet each day in your life. How are you coming across? How attractive are you? How contagious are you? How positive are you? How nice are you? How big of a goal do you help people set? How much do you help people believe in themselves? How much do you put in more effort in your relationship than they may with you? How much do you really seek their mentorship in return? How much do you try to find and learn from every person that you talk with? How much do you control your emotions as a mentor, or do you fly off the handle? The bottom line is this: you cannot lead other people. You cannot be a consistent leader with inconsistent emotions. How much do you seek to learn, or do you feel like you know it all? Do you grow every day? Most mentors do. How much do you love adversity? How much do you engage with people that are going through adversity? How much do you How much do you help people through the adversity that they're living through, and how much do you help yourself through the adversity you're living through? When it comes to vitality, when it comes to mentoring the body, when it comes to having the energy that you need, are you being a mentor for yourself? Are you eating right and exercising every day? I mean, is that really hard to do? And lastly, when it becomes about being a mentor, or when it becomes about being a mentoree, do you really understand and appreciate and grasp that you are really a part of just something bigger than yourself? This is Glenn Bill. We are going to be tackling Attitude Booster number 5. Have a mentor, copy him or her, and I hope that you join me for the next 4 podcasts. I hope that you like this. I hope that you share it, subscribe, rate, and review, because I promise you this. We are going to be a mentor to you with these next 4 guests. We always want to continue to be America's #1 source for attitude development, attitude awareness, and attitude discernment. I look forward to having you and dropping these next 4 podcasts, and I will see you on the other side of the bridge as we help you bridge the gap from who you are to who you want to become, and from where you are to where you want to be. And you can find it all here at the Get Attitude Podcast.